Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines. And my name is William Kumwembe. In the program today, job losses push demand for early withdrawals of pension funds. We have a report. And also in the program, banks see the future as volatile as economic woes persist. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. In our main story in the program today, the COVID pandemic has affected many sectors of the economy, with a number of institutions offloading some of its staff. Now, this has pushed the number of people needing early withdrawals of their pension funds substantially in the past 2 years. Our journalist Justin Kweu reports.
An early withdrawal of pension funds is when someone has drawn 40% of their pension funds from their account 6 months after losing a job or other factors as stipulated by the law. RBM Principal Examiner for Pensions and Insurance, Chamiso Tsonga, reviewed the growth of early withdrawals at a customer engagement organized by Zamara Pension in Blantyre. Tsonga indicated that by June this year, early withdrawals amounted to 13.4 billion kwacha, while by June 2020, early withdrawals were at 9.5 billion kwacha. She attributed the development to the COVID pandemic, which she said affected companies and the economy at large, which made people to lose their jobs. She added that some employers were restructuring, some were downsizing, and a number of people were laid off. Therefore, those who were laid off were claiming early withdrawals of pension benefits as permitted under the Pensions Act. Tsonga said even though there were early withdrawals, non-remittance of pension funds by employers has been the biggest challenge, which has affected those wanting to withdraw their pension funds. An early withdrawal of pension funds is when someone has drawn 40% of their pension funds from their account 6 months after losing a job or other factors as stipulated by the law. RBM Principal Examiner for Pensions and Insurance, Chamiso Tsonga, reviewed the growth of early withdrawals at a customer engagement organized by Zamara Pension in Blantyre. Tsonga indicated that by June this year, early withdrawals amounted to 13.4 billion kwacha, while by June 2020, early withdrawals were at 9.5 billion kwacha. She attributed the development to the COVID pandemic, which she said affected companies and the economy at large, which made people to lose their jobs. She added that some employers were restructuring, some were downsizing, and a number of people were laid off. Therefore, those who were laid off were claiming early withdrawals of pension benefits as permitted under the Pensions Act. Tsonga said even though there were early withdrawals, non-remittance of pension funds by employers has been the biggest challenge, which has affected those wanting to withdraw their pension funds.
The letters that we have received, the institutions are indicating that they are facing financial difficulties, they have financial challenges that have led to the pension contribution arrears. Mostly during this COVID-19 pandemic, we saw that there are some entities that we are struggling. As the regulator, we are issuing administrative penalties to those employers that have contribution arrears. And recently we got guidance from our legal team to take the prosecution route. So recently the registrar has commenced legal proceedings against 21 employers who were initially served with the administrative penalties. As you have seen through the presentation, the pension fund assets are now at 1.4 trillion as at June 2022. It's a huge amount which is invested in equities. It's invested in some entities in the country, and some of it government is borrowing and using it, and part of it is invested in property. And recently, you might have heard the Reserve Bank of Malawi Pension Fund is building a commercial property in Lyon out of the pension fund assets as well. So it's a huge contribution to the country.
Commenting on the development, Life Insurance and Pension Association of Malawi LIPAM President Sten Singo said the situation is a reflection of a shrinking economy which is leading to loss of jobs. Singo added that the situation impacts pension fund administrators because it shrinks their portfolio and reduces opportunities of investments because a bigger chunk of the Malawi Stock Exchange is consumed by pension funds. He added that the impact goes a long way because even in the Malawi 2063 blueprint, one of the goals is to be sourcing investment money in infrastructure and other developments locally. Therefore, with these early withdrawals, such funds will be reducing. Currently, pension funds stand at 1.4 trillion kwacha as at June this year, with a membership of 532,789 people, which is a growth from 73,837 members by 2011.
Now, for quite some time, the Malawi economy has been faced with a number of challenges, including forex scarcity. Lately, there's been also intermittent supply of fuel, which has affected many sectors of the economy. As if this is not enough, inflationary pressures seem to persist, coupled with high borrowing rates in the country. But the question is, considering the status quo, what does the future hold? This is a question we posed to Makfasi Kawawa, who is the Bankers Association of Malawi president, for an insight on the outlook.
The future doesn't look that inspiring, but we have to remain in hope that things will get better. Today we woke up to news that the long-awaited program with the IMF might be getting to somewhere where we can talk about it being concluded. If that happens, we know that other entities and agencies are likely to come to the table and start helping the country. That will change the mood and give hope that things can get better. And if the nerves are calmed and everybody settles down, that will be good for the country. So the way I see it, yes, we are in tough times. I mean, worldwide, everybody is struggling to recover and so on. But we should remain in hope that going into 2023, things should slightly get better. But certainly, I think before they get better, they are probably going to get a bit worse as we get into the lean season, forex-wise, into October, November, December, and even until February. But I think we should remain in hope that things will get better. We need to keep working hard. We need to keep, checking our habits. I mean, like you talked about forex, I think we import a lot. If we can check some of these things, I talked about import substitution. If we can work on these, look for alternatives, for export, commodities and so on, we should, have greater hope that things will get better. It will be a long road to travel on, but it's possible.
Remember, this is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. My name is William Kumwembe. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. Moving on with the program. SACCOs are deemed to be a game changer in as far as advocacy for savings and investment is concerned. This was said during a recent engagement some SACCOs were having in Salima. And our journalist Tabi Kamangala was there and she has since filed this report.
The pledge was made during the 9th Annual Global Women's Leadership Network GWLN Malawi Sister Society Conference, which took place in Salima, where it was revealed that not more than 40% of women have management or board positions in savings and credit cooperatives, SACCOs. Malawi Union of Savings and Credit Cooperatives, a Moscow board chairperson, Richard Jizungu, said the pledge will also help promote inclusivity, which is a pillar under Malawi Vision 2063.
It's an indication that women in SACCOs are being marginalized. We are talking of about 20% but it's gradually increasing to around 40. Okay? Because our aim is to meet the government agenda whereby the ratio percentage between men and women should be 40-60. Yeah, this conference is very important because it brings a lot of ideas and experiences from different backgrounds. So when women converge like this, they share those ideas and also motivate each other so that they can strive for leadership positions other than just being observers in circles.
EWLN chairperson Rose Msosa appreciated the support and stated that as a network, working in line with MOSCO's gender policy to ensure that more women are included is vital.
I think for us it's a great moment because MOSCO re-emphasizes its pledge to the network. The establishment of this network came from the MOSCO's gender policy back in 2015. So for us to still have their continued support is really still a great milestone for us because it does show the value that us as women are making in the movement. So for us, I think what we can say is we have plans to ensure that we have visibility in the network. The issue of visibility, we have platforms that we are definitely going to ensure that they are working. We are visible, just not at the level that we would want to be. And I think we really must admit that we need to make a little bit more noise on that. In the chapters where we work, in the platforms where the circles usually patronize, and of course to the whole nation.
The conference tackled issues of women supporting each other, entrepreneurship, and mentorship, among others. In that regard, one of the participants, Elita Mtambo, said that the conference was eye-opening and taught them a lot.
We have discussed a lot of things as women. It was so encouraging. Yesterday we had the minister, that is Patricia Kaliati. She talked more of women being able to stand on their own and also being able to stand where there is abuse. Yeah, so basically it was so inspiring and encouraging for us women.
GWLN is a grouping that was established in the year 2012 with the aim of advancing women in leadership positions in SACCOs. The theme for this year's conference was digging deeper, overcoming obstacles to women in leadership.
Inspire, connect, empower.
Tourism has for quite some time been seen as the next big thing for the Malawi economy, but investment in the sector has been very minimal, which means returns out of it could also be very minimal. One of the major challenges is lack of patronage of the domestic tourists in many destinations in the country. What needs to be done to propel or activate the involvement of local populace in the very same initiatives that others are getting engaged in? Our journalist Chimwemwe Mangazi has filed this report.
Senior lecturer in the Faculty of Tourism at the Mzuzu University, Zandi Kankoni, says there is need to set up a proper domestic tourism bedrock by making services affordable to Malawians.
We need to think about the foundation of the house, which is domestic tourism, because it's said that domestic travel is where our industry are going to find their training ground. I'm not saying we should close our borders and say we are going to save domestic tourists first. No, but we're saying that if we're going to make the industry, one, resilient from external shocks like what happened with COVID-19, and number two, if we want also to make sure that we have proper linkages in the economy so that everyone benefits, we also have to promote and develop. If travel was to be thought of as a career, a lot of us would be at the entry level. We're just learning how to travel in terms of leisure travel. And when you are an inexperienced traveler, a lot of the times you don't want to travel alone. You want to travel in groups. So a lot of us are going to patronize places or attractions that are, one, loud, and you're going to find a lot of people. That's why if you ask me to go to Cape Maclear, for example, and say, spend 70,000 kwacha in a night, I wouldn't be willing to go there. But if you tell me that there's a music festival at Cape Maclear and I'll pay 120,000 kwacha, I'll be more than willing to go there because of the events, or because of the activities and experiences that are being delivered together with the product. So in this particular case, you realize that the product itself comes like a backdrop on which other experiences are being offered to the people. So issues of product development are lacking.
Travel enthusiast and founder of Bon Voyage Club, Chimwemwe Nyirenda, adds that most local joints do not consider Malawians when coming up with charges for their services. But Deputy Director of Tourism Noah Nansongole says sometimes industry players want to reduce the period for their return on investment, which emanates from not working closely with the ministry.
In terms of building domestic tourism, I think which was mentioned, as I said, the packages are coming from the private sector. Because I think we have a general maybe mindset where everything, sometimes in business, why some small businesses fail is of profiteering. Sometimes, yes, we complain it will be tax, but tax will not be 100%. If you are talking about this room, if you break it down and say how much of that is tax or what or fees, and how much is remaining, and what is the profit, and these are things I think the discussion that I think we also need to have.
Tourism is one of the sectors earmarked to help transform the economic fortunes of Malawi.
Now, in other business news, the Malawi Stock Exchange is seen as an ideal tool for raising easy capital for many firms in the country. However, patronage remains relatively low compared to peers within the region. And the window is also seen as an effective means of enhancing financial inclusion drive in the country. What needs to be done to incorporate more Malawians to be involved in the processes and affairs of the Malawi Stock Exchange? General Secretary for the Minority Shareholders Association is Frank Harawa. He shares the hints in as far as addressing the problems are concerned.
People have to know that there's a stock market. People have to know about the shares, and they have to understand them. And for people to understand this, it's not the theory that we've been teaching in our classrooms. This one should be practical. People like us who have bought shares, we know we've bent our fingers, we've made money, so it's us who can explain better. In that way, we can reach more people to participate in the stock market. And we've already given a proposal somewhere to say, let's cover the whole Malawi from Sanje to Chitipa, district to district. Let's meet those tobacco farmers, let's meet the businessmen in these districts, so that we can explain more about the stock market. So in that way, people will be able to come and participate in the stock market. But again, we want also to thank the government, as we've said before, that a few years ago, they gave money to the present PPC, so that Malawians could borrow the money and only for buying shares. I think that mustn't stop. It needs to continue, because even ourselves that are in the system now, we need also to grow. And our focus is not only Malawi. We would like to see ourselves investing in the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. We would like to see ourselves investing in Harare Stock Exchange, Lusaka Stock Exchange. And for us to do that, we need to grow in Malawi. And for us to grow in Malawi with our 20 millions and 50 millions won't help us. So maybe there should be a deliberate move by the government to say, here's another money through the PPC. Could you borrow again from here using your share certificates as collateral? And even when you buy, you leave those shares with the PPC, so that we can grow quickly as we focus to the region. We would like to go into Zambia, Mozambique, we would like to go to Tanzania and invest even there. It is our cry that we would like to see our stock market growing in numbers of listed companies. At this time, we're only 16. We've tried, we looked at the law, and we tried to look at some of the companies that have not abided by the law of listing. So we've been able, as a minority shareholders, to write them and ask them to list on the Malawi Stock Exchange. And yeah, others have listed recently. And we are also going to do the same thing. There are several companies that we have in mind. As the citizens of this country, we will not allow those companies to continue working, not to list on the Malawi Stock Exchange, because we feel some of these companies have already broken the law by not listing on the Malawi Stock Exchange. the licenses require them to list on the Malawi Stock Exchange. So we will do a little follow-up on some of 3-4 companies recently, so that these companies should list on the Malawi Stock Exchange. There's a law that allows them to list on the Malawi Stock Exchange, and I don't know really why they are not listing the Malawi Stock Exchange. But again, maybe the other part could be the government itself to force the law, or so that more companies should list. We know in other countries the governments would say any foreign company should have such shareholding, the owners should have such shareholding, and the government could force that maybe foreign companies should list on the Malawi Stock Exchange. So yeah, those are I think the best two ways: government itself to do something, and even ourselves to look at some of the companies and ask them to come and list on the Malawi Stock Exchange.
Well, that interview also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and bye for now.